Let me tell you why you're here.
I've seen things.
Oh my god.
Whoa, yeah! You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Guaranteed to jack you up.
Yo, what is going on, my dudes? Welcome back. I know it's been a minute. I am sorry, but I am your host, LamarStaysWeird, coming to you out of sight, out of mind once again. Now, I'm just gonna say things have been weird lately in Hollywood. Okay, I'm sure a lot of people know about the strikes and everything going on with that. It is a super weird spot to be in for creators and influencers and all that. And I know I'm nobody. I'm still just an extremely small podcast, but I still want to support the SAG members and the actors as well. And they are all on strike, and I'm going to try to do my part as well. You know, I'm not going to try to promote or talk about movies that are part of the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. So that means I'm not going to be covering movies that are like from Paramount, Sony, Universal, Disney, Warner Bros, quite a few other ones, okay? But thankfully enough, A24, one of my favorite production companies ever, honestly, they have been carrying cinema on their backs, man, okay? You guys have to be familiar with A24 right now. I know it's a bit of a stereotype and a bit pretentious to like them or to be a major fan of them, but guys, their track record for movies is amazing. They put out one of the probably best movies ever, Everything Everywhere All at Once, won countless awards, cast full of Asian Americans, which was great, a lot of Asian representation, and I believe that tipped the point in us getting more Asian representation in the film industry nowadays. But they got that, Hereditary, Midsummer, Beau is Afraid, Moonlight, Uncut Gems, The Lighthouse, Green Room. There are so many amazing movies that were made by A24. And thankfully enough, and I just found this out this morning before I started recording this, they've actually accepted a lot of the terms and agreements that writers and actors were looking for. As an independent company, a smaller production than the bigwigs, they accepted all of the terms and conditions, and that's why they are still allowed to work. They are still going to be working on movies. They can still use the writers. They can still use the actors because they do this. And that's why for as long as this strike is going on, I'm just going to be covering some A24 films, and maybe I might do something a little bit different and start talking about other, I don't know, topics. So you guys might have some podcast episodes that are not specifically about a film. I am really proud of this company and everything that they've been doing for film. Everything, man. I cannot specify how much I love this company and everything that they've been doing. I'm so proud of them for them making this decision, and I saw it this morning. So that is amazing. And I know they announced 2 more projects that are going to be in production and happening while all this strike and stuff is still going on. So thankfully, this is going to happen. So if you guys weren't aware of the strike is really weird right now. You got a bunch of bigwigs refusing to pay actors properly, and the same with writers. And they don't even want to give up 2% of their revenue. Just 2% would fix everything from every company. But no, they don't want to. It is disgusting and super disappointing that this is such a thing and that this is a conversation that needs to be had. But I'm not going to go on that too much because that could go on forever. And I'm not trying to just stay here and just shit talk companies the whole time. But today, we are going to be praising A24 and some of my favorite YouTubers from when I was a teenager and well until now, till I'm an adult. And I'm so proud of these guys. So this movie that we're going to be talking about is something I've been waiting on for a very, very long time. So the directors of this movie is Danny and Michael Philippou. They are twins and they are YouTubers. They've been doing YouTube for a very long time. They've been recording home footage for an extremely long time, since they were about 11 years old. And like myself, they were really big into wrestling back in the 90s, early 2000s. I grew up on wrestling, and everyone's wrestled around, you know, with their siblings or anything like that, or like their parents. And that's what they were doing. They were doing the same thing, but they were filming it, they were editing it, they were doing all this ever since they were kids. They blew up on YouTube because of it. They started to do a lot of fandom mashups. This is what really got them popular. They would do a bunch of crazy stunt work, but the mashups were really taking off. They did like Harry Potter versus Star Wars. I think they did like Naruto versus like Dragon Ball. Just hearing about it right there, you're like, oh yeah, like, you know, people do mashups all the time. Like, what's different? No, these guys went all out with their stunts and everything. Usually filming at their home in Australia and just destroying their house. And they would film with a bunch of their friends and like just neighbors that they grew up with. They have like over 6 million subscribers. They have over 1 billion views, like 1.6 billion or something like that, with only like 200 videos. So these guys have been on the grind and they deserve the praise. And I remember years ago, I can't even remember how long ago this actually happened, but they did announce that they were working on a movie and that they were pitching it to companies, and that something would happen soon, that they would actually be directors of their first feature film debut. But I guess it took a lot longer than what I thought. So ever since I saw trailers of this, I was super excited because I saw A24 is tied to it, and the moment I see A24, I'm already kind of hooked. I'm like, all right, you know, that's got my attention. Now what else is there? They jump into the horror genre. And the movie is called Talk to Me. And wow, I got to see this early because of a preview screening. Like my girlfriend and I, we were blown away. This movie exceeded my expectations like crazy. And I'm not going to try to hype it up too much. I'm really going to try not to, but man, it was good. It had me sinking in my chair at one scene. And I don't get scared at the horror movies anymore, unfortunately, but man, it was a blast. But this was our first RSVP, you know, early screening. I've never done one before because I am an all access A24 member. So that's a monthly membership that you subscribe to A24. I think it's like $5. You get some good perks. And they just recently launched their app, and their app was where you could get tickets to go see Talk to Me. So I live in Orlando, and my girlfriend and I, we got the tickets, we got the RSVP, and we just went straight to a Winter Park at the Regal Theater. And we were a little late, you know, we wanted to arrive super early because it is first come, first serve. And we got there, there's a long line. They're letting all these other people go in first that had like these very specific QR codes, and then they started letting everyone else go through. And they started to tell people, hey, the theater's starting to fill up, so a lot of you are not going to get in, but you could still try. And they said something, you know, if you don't get in, they'll still scan your tickets. And I guess they might just try to give you tickets for when the movie actually comes out, which is later this week or next week, the 28th, which if you know movie releases, that is Friday, the 28th, but it's actually going to be coming out Thursday, the 27th. But we got there early. We're waiting. We got our popcorn. We got our drinks. We're chilling, talking, just waiting to see. And we get cut off like right in front of us. And we're like, fuck. We almost made it. And it was a bit like of a bummer, but instead we were like, okay, well, if we can't watch this, Terrifier is back in theaters right now. It'll be cool to see that on the big screen because I haven't. But just before all hope was lost, and thankfully we did not get out of line, the organizer came back and said, okay, you two, come with me. We're going to go in. We found 2 more seats. And I'm like, okay. In my head, I'm sitting there thinking, all right, you know, we're probably going to have to not sit next to each other, or we're going to be sitting like dead center in front of the screen or completely off to the side or something like that. No. But because they moved people around, there was 2 seats a lot further back than what I normally sit, but they were pretty high up and just slightly off to the right. Great seats. I was so thankful. Like my girlfriend and I were telling the organizer, thank you so much. We talked to the couples that were around us. We're telling them thank you because they like scooted over and stuff to where these 2 seats could be next to each other. We sat and watched the movie. It was incredible. And they told everybody, you know, they do have like piracy police. I'm just going to call them that. But I think that's kind of similar to what they were actually called. They were saying, yeah, we have somebody in the booth that can look down, and then there's somebody inside who can see. So it's like every angle we can see if anything lights up at all. So they said everyone had to turn off their phones, which I very much love. I think this was one of my favorite theater going experiences because everyone was so quiet. Everyone was just into the movie. Like, these were nothing but fans. And that's usually why I like going to opening nights, because you get to go with the people who are the actual fans who really, really want to watch the movie. They're not trying to have a bad time. You know, I'm sorry to say, I do not like the general audience too much, because a lot of times people just will not shut the fuck up, or people always have somebody that's going to be on their phones and blah, 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 blah. I hate all of that, dude. That irks me so bad. So I love going to opening nights, and I loved going to this because no phones were allowed, and everyone was fucking quiet, just enjoying the movie. All right, so now that I gave you guys a little bit of a story time, we're going to go back to the movie. So the movie is called Talk to Me. All right, we're still in the non-spoilery section, so if you guys want to hear this and you don't want to go in with spoilers or anything, trust me, you're still in the good part. I'll let you guys know whenever we get to the spoilers, because there is definitely some shit to talk about, and I'm going to try to go off of memory as best as I can, because there are no clips or anything online, so I really have to just dig into my mind's eye and really try to, pull out some of this stuff. So the synopsis is this. When a group of friends discover how to conjure spirits using an embalmed hand, they become hooked on the new thrill until one of them goes too far and unleashes terrifying supernatural forces. Now, if you guys want to know what that means, so there is this hand. Obviously, everyone knows about the hand if you're at least slightly interested in it. Think of it as a Ouija board. It is a very unique take on a Ouija board. I loved it. Ouija boards are kind of cool, kind of scary, but they're kind of cliche at this moment. They're super 80s, okay? So now we have an embalmed hand. And supposedly what the story is about the embalmed hand is that it is actually the hand of somebody who was a medium, whatever the hell you actually call it, a person that could like communicate with the dead, kind of like that blonde chick that had like the giant pump, like hair pump. I don't know, she was on TV for a while, and I thought her show was like full of shit, but it's like that. It was somebody that could commune with the dead. And then like another theory is like it was a Satanist or something. So there's a few stories out there, nothing super accurate, and that underneath the plaster or whatever it was really covered in, underneath that, it was an actual hand, probably like a mummified hand. And the whole point of it is you're allowed to speak to the dead. You're supposed to light a candle, then you hold the hand as if like you're giving it like a handshake. And then you say, talk to me. And at that point, a spirit will manifest and only you can see it. And they will look like how they looked when they died. So a lot of them do not look great. And you get to talk to them a little bit if you really want to. But the part that a lot of people are getting off on is possession. So you just tell them, the 3 magic words, I let you in. Or 4 magic words. Fuck. I cannot count. You tell them the 4 magic words, I let you in, and they possess your body. And that's when you need to start the timer, because you cannot go over 90 seconds, because then the spirits would want to stay. That is something to keep in mind, because now they're back in a body. So they're able to control the body. You're able to look around. It's no longer you. Your soul is pretty much just outside your body. You don't really see it in the movie, but people love it that they experience the other side, and that's the thrill. And then, of course, because in typical horror movie fashion, things start to go wrong, shit starts to get really buck wild, and they have to figure out how to stop everything. It's pretty cool. And this movie, it does have some themes, not super deep, but it does have like some themes there that I really enjoyed. And honestly, dude, for Danny and Michael's first like major film debut, it does not feel like it. Everything was done so well. The writing was done really well. The camera work was done. The acting, the actors in this, a lot of them have only done like shows, like just a few episodes and shows, and maybe like some short films. So they're not even seasoned actors. And they did a phenomenal job on this. Obviously, a standout is going to be the lead actress, Sophie Wilde. She plays Mia. This is her first leading role in a theatrical release. And I watched a video where Raka Raka, the twins, Danny and Michael, where they were talking about the movie got picked up by A24. They documented the whole thing because, you know, they're vloggers, YouTubers, that's what they do. And they went around telling, you know, friends, family, the actors themselves that it got picked up. And they were just crying in her kitchen. They were all like so happy. And they're telling her, like, your career is about to explode. You are about to blow up right now. So she's an Australian actress that I think we'll definitely see more of very soon. And it's been a long time coming. It's been a long road for these people because this movie was announced back in 2020. And then it was made probably sometime 2021, 2022. It was made by Causeway Films, who are the same people who did The Babadook, which is another really good movie. And a lot of people know The Babadook now because of like the memes, and the creature is now looked at as a very famous LGBT icon. The movie premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, which is one of the biggest festivals in America for films, and is where a lot of production companies go and try to buy up films and distribute them. And another thing that was really amazing was whenever it premiered at the Sundance, there were directors hitting these guys up. Ari Aster, Jordan Peele, Stephen King, Steven Spielberg, all of these big names just hitting these guys up, telling them that they did such a great job. In this video on YouTube, I recommend you go watch it. It's called We Made a Horror Film. Honestly, I was getting teary-eyed watching this thing because I'm so proud of these guys because I've been watching them for so long and I know this is where they were going to end up. And the road that they took to get here, everything and how emotional it seems, I'm very proud of these guys. And I can't say that enough. And I'm so happy A24 bought this film and is distributing it internationally. They even bought this film before Atomic Monster, which is James Wan's production company. You know, he did the Conjuring universe, Malignant. So James Wan, big name, Atomic Monster. And they almost had it, but A24 bought it. And now we have another really good A24 horror movie. Another thing I want to talk about, and I'll get into it a bit deeper later whenever I could get into more of the spoilery stuff. This movie is definitely an analogy for youth and drugs. Because these guys get hooked on doing this and it starts to take over their lives and completely run it off the rails. And I like that that's something we get to talk about in a very interesting way. And you guys know I like to talk about the ratings and stuff. Right now, not a whole lot to really go off on, but IMDb has it at a 7.5 right now. And the Rotten Tomatoes critic score has it at a 96. Me personally, I rated it like a 4 on my letterbox, 4.5. I don't know. I just know I really wanted to see it again the moment we got out of the theater. My girlfriend and I stood in the hallway talking about it because we were busy on our letterboxes and trying to quote it. She gave it a 5. I was trying to type my whole thing. I was practically speechless because I didn't really know what to say. I immediately wanted to watch it again, and now I can't wait to watch it again. I'm so excited that this movie's coming out very soon because I really, really want to see it again. And I want a prop of the hand. The hand looks amazing. I want a replica of it now because I enjoyed this movie that much. I really want to get a poster. So I'm gonna try to use my connections at my my previous job, the movie theater. I'm gonna try to see if I can get some connections there and see if I can get somebody to do me a solid and snag me a poster because holy shit, I really, really want this fucking poster, man. And I really want to talk about the actors. I have 3 that really stood out to me. Sophie Wilde, Mia, she did a really great job. Joe Bird, who played Riley. So that's her best friend's brother, younger brother, and also like one of her best friends as well, which they have a really nice relationship. I love the friendship relationships they kind of got going on in this movie. I thought it's really nice. Miranda Otto, she is from The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina and Annabelle. She is Zelda Spellman in Chilling Adventures of Sabrina and Esther in Annabelle Creation. She's the chick that has like the mask on her, on like half of her face. I knew I recognized her from somewhere, but they were my 3 favorites. And the relationships between Mia, Sue, Riley, like I really love. I love when friendships go into your family. They kind of merge into your family a bit. I've always really liked that. People who can get along with my parents, I love that so much. That's so cool. to me, that's a good plus. My parents, they love meeting my friends and knowing who I spend time with. And my friends usually love my parents, and I'm forever thankful for that. My parents are some pretty cool people, and they deserve some outside love from people they wouldn't have met on their own. And if you guys are listening to this, I love you guys so much. But before we get any further into anything, I do want to give like a bit of a trigger warning about suicide. It is something we're definitely going to talk about later in the episode, and it is involved in the movie as well. So if that is kind of gonna irk you a bit or anything, I would try to steer clear. I'll give another warning whenever we're about to talk about it. But for now, I think that's plenty enough. We're going to move into the spoilery part of this podcast. So if you guys want to wait and see, come back and listen to this, interact with the polls down below and the questions. I would love to see what you guys say about this film. Now let's get right into it. Now, like most horror movies, it's kind of a cliche at this point, but they have a pretty good cold opening. We start with this one guy, I cannot remember his name, but he's showing up to this party. He's looking for his brother. It's done in a great oneer. I don't know how long the oneer runs for, but it runs for, I want to say like over a minute. And so he's going through this pretty big house party looking for his brother. And I guess people aren't really thrilled about his brother, so he's asking people where they are. And, you know, by the attitude and, you know, behavior some people have, it's like, yeah, his brother's doing something weird or whatever. But we finally get to his brother. We find out he's locked in a room and he won't come out. So the guy starts trying to bang on the door a bit, tell him that he needs to come out. He's here to pick him up and stuff. He can't do it. So he starts destroying this dude's door. His brother's like shirtless. He's definitely very distraught. Like he's not all there. And I believe he has like some cuts on him. So they start leaving. You know, he's dragging him along a little bit, you know, trying to keep him together. And once they get out to the kitchen, and I hate this because this is that mentality that everyone's doing nowadays. They just film everything. So they see like the brother is definitely all kind of fucked up or whatever. So everyone just has their phone out, just filming. Like you see all these lights just lighting up the kitchen because everyone's just recording this guy. And so he's telling them all, you know, put your fucking phones down and all this and that. Once he goes back to his brother, he gets stabbed. I can't remember exactly where he gets stabbed, but I think he gets stabbed like in the chest or something. And then that's when everyone starts freaking out. They start leaving. The brother just, you know, walks over his brother's body. He's walking outside, just stands still for a little bit. And then it just like jump scare, just stabs his head with the knife. Like, and there you go. That's your opening. So cold opening, we saw how that turned out. And then we get introduced to Mia, Jade, Riley, Sue, and Daniel. So you guys know who Mia is. You guys know who Riley, Jade, brothers, sisters, best friends of Mia. You got Sue, who is Jade, Riley's mother. And then you got Daniel, who is Jade's boyfriend, who is Mia's old ex-boyfriend. I can't remember how long ago, but quite a bit. But they're comfortable enough to make jokes. I think it's supposed to be something like they were boyfriend and girlfriend, maybe like elementary school or something like that. Like it was a good bit away by the way they talk about it and how cool they are. But there's definitely some hints of Mia, I guess, still kind of into Daniel. And Daniel, I believe he's like a good Christian boy, so they don't do anything. Him and Jade, they haven't kissed, and I think they've been dating for like 3 months. So no sex or anything like that. And obviously Jade is kind of respecting all that, but also wants all that to actually happen. And we got Riley. Riley's a cool brother. Him and Jade don't have the best sibling relationship, you know, kind of sad, but pretty sure he sees Mia as like a nice older sister. They have a really good connection. You know, they hang out, and he'll spend the night at her place, stuff like that. And they kind of sort of, not really a friend, but I guess just like a peer, I guess you would say. That they have someone called Haley. They throw these parties. That's where they get wind of what's going on. A lot of people already know about this hand, but they think it's bullshit because they see people's Snapchats and TikToks, Instagram stories, whatever. They see all those because their eyes go black whenever they get possessed. And everyone's like freaking out. Like you see everyone has their phones out. You see the possessed person acting weird. Mia and Jade definitely believe, it's fake, it's nothing, whatever. But they're gonna finally see for themselves because they're gonna attend a party. And whenever they get there, once all the people arrive, they're like, all right, we're gonna do this. Any volunteers? And so Mia decides to try it out. She sees somebody. And I believe it was this bloated woman that like drowned or something. She sees like two different people, I think, because each time the spirit is different and they specify that. She lets them take over. And so she's creeping everyone out. She's talking a little funny. It's mainly in the trailers. You get to see a lot of the first session that goes on. And after that, she gets hooked on it. The 90 seconds are up. They take her off of it. And she loved it. She said it was fantastic. She pretty much feels like euphoric. So this is where like you definitely start to see the whole drugs thing coming in. Not peer pressure, but it's just you see everyone else doing it. So then she decides to do it, and then she loves it, and then she wants to do it more. So Jade is really against it. Riley, a little creeped out by it. And Daniel, he's, I guess, just kind of there to watching it. It looks like he's enjoying it. And now they all eventually hang out again, like just a few of them, like the core group. So you got Haley, Jade, Mia, Riley, Daniel, and Josh, that's Haley's friend. They're the ones in the possession of the hand. So they have like another session, and Daniel finally gets to try it out. And this is where you really start to understand and get a little bit more hints of how the spirit world thing works out. Because when Daniel gets possessed, he looks at Jade, and the person that's possessing him says he hates when you touch him, and then says you make him soft. And it made it so weird. Like, the atmosphere definitely went down, because I'm assuming there's some truth to that. And they even hint at it later in the film when they're talking about everything, that what if the spirits like know everything when they take over your body? Like, what if they just see into your mind's eye and they get an idea? They see your memories, your feelings, they see all of that. And so that's kind of what's going on. And right after Daniel's possessed body says that to Jade, he looks over at Mia and then kind of starts like moaning, and Jade gets very uncomfortable. It's like slight wincing. And you have to be strapped down to the seat. That's something I forgot to mention. A lot of times you are strapped down to the seat because they don't want you moving or anything. So you're strapped really tight. And so he's grinding in this chair. Like, it's very weird and like sexual, and just kind of moaning, and then like falls over to the floor. Haley and Josh are just recording this because, they record all the sessions because everyone acts different. And the dog, oh my god, the dog. I feel so bad for the dog, dude. So they got this bulldog. It starts licking Daniel's mouth, and Daniel is just full on making out with this dog. They've been dating for a while, and Daniel hasn't done anything. There's been nothing sexual. So homeboy is pent up, and he was getting really freaky intimate with that dog, and I didn't like that. That was super uncomfortable to watch. He does that, and then they eventually break the connection, and he understands what happened. And so he's telling them to delete the video and all that stuff. Finally, and I like how they did this, finally, they take the dog out. Everyone was super happy whenever this trailer first came out, because whenever they were going to start the possession, like the session, they put the dog out of the room and closed the door. A lot of people in the comments, I remember seeing this, they were just like, oh yeah, at least they're thinking about the dog, man. They're treating the dog right, protect the dog. That did not happen. I thought the dog was going to be protected when I walked into this film. No, the fuck it was not. That dog was assaulted, and that is not okay. But Riley sees this, and he was scared one of the times. He was scared so bad by one of the sessions that he had to sleep in the same bed with Mia. But now, he wants to put on his big boy pants, and he wants to try it. And Jade is telling him no. So it's very symbolic of drugs, Jade's telling him no, he's not going to do it because he's only like 15. And he looks to Mia like, hey, like I want to do it and stuff. And Mia gives him permission. Like, okay, you could do it, but you get 50 seconds, and that's it. So they tie him down, they let it happen. It's nothing like Mia's first time. the moment that he looks at the spirit across from him, he doesn't flinch or anything. He's just staring. He just like kind of whispers to himself, "What the fuck?" And everyone's kind of like laughing, smiling, like, "Oh yeah, he sees something." Starts to like kind of slowly look over towards Mia and look back. And so that's when her face is kind of like, "Oh, like, what's that? Like, what's going on?" And so he says the words, "I let you in." He gets possessed, and this person that took over Riley's body starts talking to Mia. And she starts saying how, "I never meant to leave you," or, you know, like, "You look beautiful," stuff like that. And that's when everyone like the mood is definitely like killed. It's died down because everyone just realizes, oh shit, that's her mom. And they've never seen a personal connection like that. So everyone's just kind of there, just observing the whole thing. And once the timer goes off for the 50 seconds, surprisingly, Haley, the one who's instigated a lot of this stuff and supposed to be like just a badass, they're like, all right, you know, 50 seconds, like, that's up, let's go. And Mia begs, no, like, that's her mom. And so she's like holding the hand, like the item, and Riley's hand together, you know, like grasping it, you know, just holding it, like trying to keep that connection, and then also try to like have some sort of physical connection to her mother. And it's just trying to talk. She asks like, oh, you know, did you kill yourself? And the mom says, no, not on purpose. Like, that's not what happened. And supposedly what actually happened was her dad was sleeping on the couch. Her mom was sleeping in the room. She took these pills, you know, she OD'd and I guess tried to get help. And her dad did not hear anything, but in the morning he tried to open the door and he couldn't, because her body was in front of the door. So it's yeah, it's definitely something. And so the spirit of her mom is trying to tell her that's not what actually happened. So now you're kind of getting this mystery of like, wait, so how did her mom actually die? Like, did her dad have anything to do with it? And for a large chunk of this movie, we do not see her dad. And when she does go home, she's obviously trying to block out everything that's going on, because she's super in focus in the foreground, and in the background everything is out of focus. Her dad is there, he's completely out of focus, you don't see anything. She doesn't really respond to him or anything like that. And I believe their first conversation in the movie, you don't even see her dad, you just see her, like, it's focused on her, he's talking or trying to, and she's not even looking at him. She doesn't look at him. And so you really start to see like there is definitely a break in their relationship. And it's because she doesn't believe that he's telling the truth. And now, because she got to talk to her mom, she is starting to think something else happened. She already knew he wasn't telling the truth, but now this kind of confirms it for her. But it is a spirit, you know, and her mom does look very fucking scary. So I would have a hard time believing it too. But while this whole conversation is going on between Mia and her mom, it's going on longer than the 90 seconds. And so Riley starts to like get super like weird. He gets thrown around and he starts smashing his face, and like everyone's freaking out. It's a major bloody scene. Like I thought the kid was dead. Like, it was brutal. And his hand got loose and he was trying to take out his own eye. I think he did. I think he actually got to, because it looks like most of it he was. And I thought they were going to stop it in time, but for the rest of the movie, I never saw that other eye. So I'm going to assume he did pop out his own eye and try to kill himself. So this is when everything starts to go downhill. This is when it starts to come out a little bit. Like, okay, it's really dangerous. We don't need to do this shit anymore. He gets sent to the hospital. He stays in the hospital for the remainder of the movie. And now, because of everything going on, Mia is starting to see stuff. She sees more of her mom. And there are some genuinely creepy fucking moments, man, because holy shit, I did not enjoy some of them, because I have a thing with nails, like fingernails. I hate stuff with fingernails. So when people like tear them off or anything, or it gets ripped off, or like you're scratching against surfaces and they're like breaking and pulling back, like, oh dude, just thinking about it right now is really bugging me. Like I'm cringing. Her mom, her fingers are like that. They're bloody. The nails are broken and chipped because she was scratching at the door. And every now and then you hear that. You hear like the random scratching, and it's so unnerving. I hate it so much. But oh dude, like just thinking about all that fucking creeps me out. I hate that. But you get those moments. And so she starts to finally open up about it. Like, okay, has anybody else been seeing stuff? And they're just like, no. You're like, you're not supposed to, Lily. What are you talking about? So nobody else is seeing shit but Mia. And of course, it's mainly with her mom. But she does have other situations that have happened. So after the whole thing with Riley getting sent to the hospital, Sue wants nothing to do with her. She's convinced it was drugs and they did something. But her mom has been really cool. Sue has been really cool throughout this movie. She's a really cool mom. All right. She tries to be like a strict parent, but no, she is like a really cool mom. And so she tells her she doesn't want her around or anything. She's kind of blaming Mia for everything. But her and Daniel, they go stay at Mia's place. Daniel doesn't really want to, but Mia doesn't want to be alone. So they stay over, they talk for a little bit, and then they go to sleep. And so she's kind of wanting some comfort, but they're sleeping at opposite ends. And so she gets like closer to like his legs, you know, just enough to like feel contact. And she has this dream where, and God, dude, this was a scary moment. You just see somebody sitting in a corner and it's dark, or it's focused, the camera's focused on this corner, it's dark, and you know something is there. And I'm sitting there like sinking into my chair, like, all right, where is it? Like somebody's there, you know, because you can hear something. And it cuts back to Mia, and then it cuts back to the corner, and then you can kind of see the outline of somebody, and then it starts moving. Super weird. But then, and for all the people who have foot fetishes out there, you're in luck, baby, because we get some full-on toe sucking. God, was that woman going in on that foot, man. Daniel's foot is just getting like devoured, just full-on slobbered on. While Mia's there, and she's like freaking out and trying to wake him up. But then she wakes up and she's the one sucking on Daniel's foot. So she got possessed, you know, without touching the hand or anything. So she got possessed, and that happened. So it freaks Daniel out, and then he fucking leaves. And so she's starting to see shit and hear things. So she's obviously going crazy. And this is going back to the cold opening, because it turns out that's exactly what happened to the brother, because they used to do this stuff. And the brother started to kind of lose his mind, and they said that he got a bit schizo, so like schizophrenic. She ends up having the hand again. She ends up getting it. She tries to make contact with her mom, and she does. And she talks to her mom again. So her mom tells her, you know, like he's suffering, you gotta end it or whatever. So pretty much saying that they're never going to let his body go, that they need to kill him, that she needs to kill him. So obviously we already know, okay, things are not going well, because her mom's spirit is telling her to kill somebody. So it might not be her mom. There's another scene, and it's gnarly, man, but we finally get to look at the other side, because throughout the whole film, you have not seen the other side. But whenever they're inside the hospital and they're listening to Mia about trying to close the door, because they're thinking maybe they didn't close the door, and that's why this stuff's happening. Whenever Riley was doing it, maybe they didn't blow out the candle, because you're supposed to blow out the candle. That's how you break the connection. You separate the hands, you blow out the candle. So that's your saying goodbye on a Ouija board type of deal. So they go back, they put his hand on it, and they try to say, talk to me, and they let go, blow out the candle. But nothing's happening. He's not waking up or anything. And he tried killing himself again before that, because he's fully messed up. So he has to be bathed. And in a scene where he was getting bathed, he started smashing his head against the wall again and attacking Jade. So Mia has the idea, while they're all in the hospital, she'll try to talk, and she'll try to see if she can find Riley's spirit. But when she does that, she comes across the little girl, and then she asks the little girl for help. And honestly, I thought this shit was going to get really fucking scary and weird with the little girl, but thankfully it didn't, because I don't enjoy those types of things. Instead, and I didn't know you could do this, that was like a oh fuck moment for me. Whenever she's holding the hand with the little girl, and she asks, can you help me find him? And she says, yeah, I can help you. And then the little girl says the words, I let you in. Mia gets fucking transported into like the purgatory or whatever the fuck. And I love how it looked. It was gnarly. It reminded me of scenes in Constantine whenever they were in hell. And she's looking at the hospital bed with Riley in it. And you see all these souls, like these spirits just around him under this faint orange light, clawing at him. You just see blood, and you just hear him screaming and calling out. And it is, wow, it is fucking gruesome. but it was a very awesome depiction, and in my opinion, I really enjoyed that, like seeing the other side just for that little bit. I want to see more, but I'm like, no, 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 just that was good enough. And so that's when Riley's like, she finally gets out of it. It's like, yeah, you know, they're hurting him and all this and that. And then that's when she does come to the realization, you know, she needs to put him out of his misery, that her mom was right. Whenever she's back home, she's trying to confront her dad about everything. You know, he's finally trying to talk to her, and she starts to see that things aren't adding up. And he reads her, and this is going to be where the trigger warning comes in on this part of the episode. He reads her a suicide note from the mom. It's completely understandable that she would want to see her mom, and this is where it gets heavy, because she was left behind, and that is such a terrible feeling, and it's one that doesn't go away. And I say this from experience, because I lost my uncle years ago now. Like, honestly, I can't even remember, and it's sad to say I don't try to think about it too often. I didn't handle it well when it happened, but he did. He took his own life, and it was at a very bad time in our relationship, because my uncle wasn't he wasn't he wasn't the greatest person. He was a great guy. He was a fun guy. But, you know, there were moments, you know, he had his own demons. And I'm pretty sure he probably had some mental health problems going on, but I was too young to understand or anything. And anytime he would be at odds with, you know, my dad or, you know, my parents, that's when I would, cut ties and stuff. And unfortunately, I did that for a while. And what do you call it? He texted me one day. I can't remember how long before, but we were not in contact for a long time. But he texted me one day, just, hey, you know, I never responded or anything like that. And then, you know, time passed, and I get the news that he did what he did. And it broke me. It did, because I've never felt like that. And of course, everybody loses family members, and it sucks. It fucking hurts. You know, your world changes, but I've never felt something like this, where somebody chose to go. And it dude, it really fucking hurt, man. And it still does to this day, because you just get left to wonder why, or anything. And it was just not right. And then knowing how my uncle was before, like he was a bit of a neat freak, you know, he was ex-military, you know, but it was he was a good guy, you know. He was in shape, you know. He lift weights and stuff. He was still a bigger guy, but you know, he lifted weights and all that. And whenever we went to like his apartment to like clean out and collect everything, you know, all his stuff, it was rough, because unfortunately he was found a little while after. I can't remember how long, but it was a little while after. So his body did start to decompose a bit, and unfortunately, like, you could see, I could fucking see his outline, like in the carpet. And the smell is something you never forget, really. And I hate it, because it would just be random times. it would be random times when I could randomly think of it, and it's like it's lingering right there. It's like all of a sudden you can, and and it was fucking terrible, man. So going through that and seeing how much he changed, like his place was a fucking mess. There was papers and shit everywhere, like, you know, pill bottles. Because like I said, I don't think he was okay, and he did have other medical issues, and for the longest time we had no fucking idea why it happened. You know, it's just know that it did, and I live in regret every day that I never got to text him back, that I never got to tell him I love you or anything. And he was like the coolest dude ever, man. It's like, God, our lives would be so different if he was still around. And it's rough because, like I said, for a long time we had no idea what was the reason, and then eventually we found something, and it just made the anger even more. And this was something I talked about not too long ago with my girlfriend. It just randomly came up, and I tried my best to avoid a breakdown, so I'm gonna try to do it again, you know. But I told her, like, it's weird because you want to be mad that somebody did something like that to hurt you. Not to hurt you, but it did hurt you. And you can't help but be angry at them. But then again, it's like you can't be, because they were hurting too, and they chose not to hurt anymore. And then you're just left there just being angry. And you don't know where to put the anger because there's nothing you can do about it. There's nobody to be mad at. There's no force. There's not something or someone to be mad at. You're just angry. And it festers in you. And it's hard because you constantly have to remind yourself, because so badly you just want to say, like, fuck you, man. Like, you did this. But you can't, because they were going through something you're not, and you can't be mad at them for that. And my uncle had testicular cancer at a really young age. I think he was like 20, 22 at the time. And I got to see that growing up, and I don't remember it. I just remember it as good times. I got to stay in bed with my uncle for days on end and playing Kingdom Hearts and shit like that. And that's how I saw it. I saw it as a great time, but that's not the case. But he was going through chemo. He went through remission. He was great for a while, but whenever we finally stumbled upon what really happened, we found out that the VA, you know, they weren't going to take care of him anymore or anything like that. So he wouldn't have had any medical insurance or anything. And he hasn't had a job for a long time. You know, he got all of his benefits, you know, from the government and stuff, because, you know, he did have problems with his back, so he couldn't work anymore. And it turns out his cancer came back, and it was throughout his body. It was everywhere. And I guess he didn't want to go through that anymore or again. And so he made that decision. And, you know, it affected everyone and people's lives. Like a major loss can change your life. You know, people's lives get ruined by these types of things. And, you know, I'm pretty sure that's not what he meant to do, but you know, you damage people. And even if you lose somebody closer, like how she like lost her mom in the movie, I can imagine that's super damaging. But, you know, she tried to like keep it all together, but it ruined the relationship between her and her dad. And that's a spoiler. Pretty sure her mom did kill herself, because it's not hinted at in any way that the dad tried to kill her. But it happened to be just a spirit, you know, whatever. She was just misleading or something. We don't even really know if it was her mom, you know, at least from my point of view. I have no idea. But yeah, it does that, and it could steer people towards drugs, you know, just like how she was chasing it because she got to see her mom. It helped relieve some of the pain. And so that's why she got hooked on it, and that's why she wanted to keep doing it. And unfortunately it ruined other people's lives because she let somebody else do it, you know. So like, yeah, it's a bit of an exaggerated thing, but it's not too far off what really happens, because nobody really thinks about when somebody dies, that everything that comes with it, when everything else starts tumbling down. You know, you got bills, you know, you got all of that person's stuff. It's so much. And like I said, if you lose somebody, like if you're married and you guys have a house together, you have a partner, you know, you lose that person, but whether it be natural causes or not, and then that, like, all that's going to take a toll. So like, you're by yourself, you have to pay for all these different things, you lose a big chunk of income, you know, it can be devastating. And yeah, so you can understand where people's lives get ruined. You know, some people become homeless because because they go down such a dark path and stuff. And this is off tangent, but that's why we shouldn't really judge like homeless people and shit too much. You know, everyone is always like, oh yeah, they're just fucking homeless, you know, they made bad choices. Like, no, sometimes bad shit just happened, and so much at one time you can't keep up with it. And in the world we live in nowadays, it's kind of hard to bounce back sometimes. And so yeah, like that's like this fucking movie, you know, because of that underlying issue that she couldn't address. She found a way to supposedly make it better, and she kept at it, and it ruined other people's lives, and it was ruining her own life. But yeah, it's like, if you guys are feeling any type of way, you know, please definitely seek help and reach out to someone, you know, because it sucks, man, to be on the other end. But I've been on the other end myself. I won't go into that too much. That's not something I like to talk about, but you know, I have been at an extremely low point before in my early 20s. And yeah, man, reach out to people. You know, it sucks dealing with it alone. It really sucks, but talking to somebody really does help. And I can't stress that enough, to reach out to someone, anyone, any prevention centers or anything. And sometimes even those are a little disappointing to me, because I've seen a few times where people say they've tried calling places or whatever, and they don't get anyone. And that's, honestly, that's extremely sad. But yeah, just if you're feeling low, please reach out to like the closest person you know, even if you have issues with them or anything, you know. Don't make it about the problem. Just talk to them, you know. Just tell them, hey, I'm just having a hard time. Like, can we not talk about the other stuff? Like, I'm not okay. It's okay to not be okay. All right. And it is perfectly okay to ask for help, no matter who you are. If you're a man, woman, trans, anything like that, you can get help from somebody. There is somebody out there that definitely cares about you. I mean, even when I was upset with my uncle and things weren't going right, if only I'd known, I would have let everything fucking slide. None of it would have mattered, because honestly, I would have it all over again. You know, if we were not on good terms, I would much rather have that than him not around anymore and I don't feel anything, you know. And it sucks, man. It really does. So if you feel some type of way, please reach out to someone, you know. Even if it's like the smallest feeling, you know, it builds, you know, it starts to go. don't bottle up everything. So yeah, I'll put some links and stuff in the description, but definitely do that, man. I would really appreciate it, you know. And I'm sure you would appreciate it yourself later down the road whenever you start to reflect on that time period, and hopefully you'll have some growth and be able to achieve some sense of happiness, purpose, and prosperity. But to get back off the personal note, Mia, you know, she decides, you know, she wants to kill Riley, you know, like a merciful thing. Before she does that, she's talking with her dad about everything, you know, going back to before all that. And then you start to see like the spirit of the mom. She's telling him like, oh, that's not your dad. Your dad's not gonna, you know, your dad's gonna kill you. He's not trying to help you. He's not telling you the truth. But I guess like the spirits are playing a trick on her, because then her dad is like banging at the door and all this other stuff. And then like busts in, starts trying to fight her and all this and that. And he looks all like decomposed and stuff. And so she's trying to grab this pair of scissors and like fend off her dad. And her dad hears everything, so he's trying to break into the room because the door is not actually broken, so it's all in her head. So she is going a bit manic. And whenever he finally gets in and he tries to like comfort her, that's when she actually is able to grab the scissors and stab her dad. And then she sees kind of what she just did. So she comes up with this plan to get Jade, the Riley's sister, out of there. Like, oh, hey, you know, come meet me at my house, blah, 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 blah. And so she like sneaks in and she takes his body. She takes him because she's gonna like throw him in traffic. And so you got Sue trying to follow them and trying to stop it because she's catching on to what just happened, because, you know, her son is fucking missing from the hospital, who couldn't really move. She goes to like this interstate and she's a bit on this hill that she's gonna like push him off. Right when we think it's about to happen, she jumps into traffic, killing herself. She stops the voices and she doesn't kill Riley. And they were saying that he would probably get better with time because of the distance of connection, because supposedly the longer the spirit stays in your body, the weaker and weaker they get, to the point, you know, they're not there anymore. That's just like withdrawals, you know, you gotta get it out of your system. Very on the nose for drugs, you know, analogy for drugs. And this is the fucking gnarly point right here at the end. She gets up from the injury and you start to see time changing around her kind of quickly. Like in these weird moments, you see Riley getting better and better slowly. You see like these different times, you know, Sue, Jade wearing different clothes, and she sees like her dad. So she's trying to like go to her dad and catch up to him. And then everything goes black. It's just her by herself. I think she realizes that she might be dead. And in the distance, you see this candlelight, you know, this small flicker of flame. And so she starts walking towards it. And the closer you get, you see a hand reaching out. And so she goes and grabs it. And the moment she does, that there's a guy looking at her. And of course, she looks bloody and, you know, how she died. And he says the words, "I let you in." Yeah, she's now one of the spirits they can commune with. And dude, it was a gnarly ending. And it was just like, wow, dude, that was something. You know, it's like, imagine if that's how we all come back. We're all just able to go see a beacon of somebody. Like what if we actually die and that's what happens? You know, it's like we're able to contact these people with playing with Ouija boards, or people who can actually talk to spirits, and that's how it all actually goes. It's pretty gnarly. Another thing is the guy was speaking Spanish. The guy at the end of the movie was speaking Spanish. So, and this, I love this relic, this hand, because it's been all over the world. I looked at some pictures. I tried to decipher some stuff. I was using Google Translate, and I zoomed in on a bunch of pictures to try to get some words. And this is everything I could find that was written. I got like more than a dozen of these things. I saw Michael written in Russian. I saw, "I know what you did. I want to see you. Why? Please let me go." Annabelle. A bunch of names. There were so many names, like Ricardo, Eddie. Like, dude, I could go on forever. There's so many names listed on there. I think everyone should go try to look at pictures of this and see if your name is on there. I think that would be really funny. You saw Hope. It was written in Hindi, so this thing was in India at one point and Russia. So it was definitely made its way across the East, and now it's in the West. And then there was Help Me, This Must Be Hell, Quiet, I Let You In, I Wish You Could Be Here, Talk to Me in German. Yeah, dude, there was so much, and I love how this thing looks, and I love the story behind it, that it could be like a Satanist's hand or a medium's hand just covered in plaster, and it has all these different writings and stuff. God, I really want a replica of this thing so bad. A24 just knew what they were doing, especially with their logo transition. Phenomenal. Yeah, man, that's the movie. I'm sorry if it got really heavy, but I didn't really expect it to get so heavy, but it was a great film. I think people should definitely go watch it. You're gonna have a blast. It's creepy. It's very well made. Once again, you cannot tell that this is somebody's directorial debut. It does not feel that way. And I'm really excited to see where these guys go from here, because they did great. Danny, Michael, I'm super proud of you guys. A24, I fucking love you guys. You guys are amazing at what you're doing. You know the right movies, and you support actors, you support writers. You guys are phenomenal. More A24 movies are going to be on the way. But I think we're going to end it there, and I'm glad I was able to update you guys, and that's why it's been so long for me to put out a podcast, because I had no idea what was going on with the SAG. I don't want to be a scab or anything like that, so I'm glad I can just talk about A24. It's what I would like to do anyway, so fuck yeah, man. The next couple of movies are going to be A24. I'm going to try to put them out when I can. But before I go, I'm going to give you guys another fortune cookie, okay? Here we are. Note from the future. I am not intimidated by your past. Do with that what you will, ladies and gentlemen, but until next time, be excellent, be kind, subscribe to the podcast.